This book, The Untethered Soul, low-key introduced me to the concept of the voice in our heads, you know, that thing that we all live with. The neighbor is on 24/7, it's constantly talking to you, it's constantly judging, it's constantly creating its own narratives and its own stories. And we let it get so comfortable that actually it starts running the entire show, and the show being your life. And so if you can actually learn to control that voice and get back in the driver's seat, then you regain control of your life. Understanding the mind is literally step one, because imagine playing a video game, you can't beat the game until you understand the rules. So know this, your mind is programmable by nature, that's just how we're designed. We can't fully transcend it, but one thing we can do to win is choose our programming. See, if you talk to the average person, then you're always going to get the same conversation out of them. They'll know what the latest song is or the latest sports scores are, but it's only because they rely on what's trending. The algorithm is literally what's feeding their minds. You'll never hear anything new or innovative from them because, like I said, they're governed by algorithms, by what they see on Instagram, what they see on Twitter. And if you don't design your life, then it will be designed for you. If you choose to consume what everyone else is consuming, then you have zero input into what you actually want to consume and how you want to consume it, then you'll default to the normal setting. This is why so many people struggle with overthinking, and so many people struggle with just beating their own minds for very simple tasks like getting out of bed and going to the gym, or getting out of bed earlier than normal. I'm not saying this from a judgmental place, I'm saying this because I know it's happened to me. What happened was, over a long enough time period, my mind was conditioned to the norm, and that didn't let me take risks, it didn't let me get out of my comfort zone. And that's exactly what the neighbor, as I mentioned in the beginning, feeds off of. It grows really strong, and eventually the voice is inseparable from your own. Actually, you'll probably start thinking that there is only one voice in your mind, and that's yours, but that's not the case. You won't realize that there's a separation until you actually do the work to notice it, and you'll quickly realize, damn, that's not me. So that brings me to the first point, recognizing that the voice in your head is not you. The neighbor isn't you, it's just something that's made up of a stream of thoughts and previous experiences that you've had before. It's a combination and a mixing pot of all your fears and desires. So you're not the voice in your head, but you're the one that hears it. This realization alone will create a separation between you, the observer, and the voice, the neighbor. If I know anything about life, it's that those who win learn how to control reality. It sounds crazy and it sounds like it's some sort of manifestation thing, but actually it's not. Controlling reality comes down to the ability to control your actions. All you have to do is look at the people who have already won and find out the thing that they had in common. And as far as I know, and as far as I've studied, it's the fact that they've all learned how to beat their programming and installed something new entirely. So I'll show you exactly how to do that. I'm sure you're thinking, all this theory is great, but what can I practically do to beat my mind and make sure that I kill my overthinking? First step is actually stepping back. You need to be able to go to a position in your mind where you can observe your thoughts without judgment. It's not your job to make them stay or make them leave, it's just your job to watch them and acknowledge them. And then the best way to kill something is to starve it. Try and stop giving your finite energy to these thoughts, whether it's positive or negative, because the more you do, the more life you're actually going to give it. Alright, second thing, make sure you move. You can't kill thinking with thinking. That's like trying to sniff your way out of a cocaine problem. Action relieves anxiety every single time. Train, walk, sprint, journal, create, do something. If you think of our minds as supercomputers, every input needs an output, and if we don't create an output, then our minds go into overdrive and it doesn't allow us to process the information, and that's what leads to failure. Failure looks like burnout, it looks like procrastination, it looks like deviating from your purpose. Third thing, build evidence. There's something Ryan Holiday said that sticks with me all the time, and it's self-belief is overrated, so generate evidence. What you want to do is generate a stack of evidence for you to look back on. So anytime you enter this loop of overthinking, you can literally scan back through the evidence that you've created in your life. AKA, all the times in the past you said you'd do something and you did. Every win in the book, every promise that you keep to yourself is a new record of evidence that you can look back on at any single time. For myself as a full-time creator, I often question why I'm doing this, what's the reward, why am I putting in so much effort, who's even going to watch, but all I have to do is go through my previous wins, previous things I've uploaded that have been successful, or a newsletter that's received a lot of good feedback, and look at the comments, look at all the feedback that I've got, and it reminds me of my purpose here and what I'm doing. Additionally, ask your friends. Your friends probably have a better view of your trajectory and your progress than you do, because they have the benefit of being an external viewer without all the chaos of your mind interfering. I'm sure if you look at your friends' progress, it looks like they're going upwards, but in their own heads it doesn't feel like that. And it's the same for you as well. They'll be able to view and accurately judge your actions without a warped perspective. So Sahil Bloom sent out a newsletter recently, and one of the concepts he covered was the narrative fallacy. And in there it talks about the stories that we tell ourselves and how that begins to shape our reality. It's the same with the law of assumption. Whatever you assume to be true about someone, about yourself, about your hardships, or how much luck you have, typically ends up manifesting in your experience. In fact, we actually look for evidence and sometimes create this evidence to fit our narrative. In case you didn't know already, our minds like to find patterns. It likes to fit pieces together like a puzzle, and it assigns meaning to things that are seemingly random just so it makes sense. And so the stories that we tell ourselves are more important than you realize. In fact, it's the final step in overcoming overthinking or learning how to beat your mind. One little trick you can do is you can delude yourself into thinking you're winning even when you're not. I remember when there were times when my business was completely under the water and by any objective means I was down bad and I was out. I trained myself to absolutely delude myself, and not in a way where I thought no action is required. In fact, the complete opposite. It propelled me into action because I thought I was doing so well. And this was just a temporary hurdle. And that mindset saved me more times than you'd realize. If I had submitted to what the neighbor was telling me, then I would have given in and I would have given up. And the sad reality is most people do. They hit one obstacle, they hit one hurdle, and they just stay down. But with the right mental training, you can learn to ride the ebbs and flows of life. Coat your mind with the oil of detachment and nothing can cling to you. So our stories from way back when are the ones that are deeply ingrained in our mind. And this acts as a filter, so anytime we have new information coming in, we try and find a way to make it fit that story. Or we just completely reject it if it doesn't. And what this does is it unconsciously shapes our actions, our beliefs, and our behaviors. You'll begin to conform with whatever you have told yourself about yourself. And like I said earlier, you'll go as far as actually creating the data to support that. And that means through your actions, through your self-sabotage maybe. So what are the stories that you've told yourself? Backtrack through your mind, your emotions, and your actions. Find the seeds that were planted years ago and address them at its root. Is it a story that supports your growth, that encourages risk-taking, that reaffirms your ability to create? Or does it do the opposite? Does your story keep you trapped in a box? Is it making you scared of failure? The good news is, it's never too late to change the story that you've told yourself. Become aware of your current thought processes, write them down, address them, challenge them, and transform them into something new. So literally write down the reoccurring thoughts that come to you, or beliefs that you have installed. What do you notice about them and what patterns do you see? Ask yourself if it's actually true or if it's based on other people's perceptions or something else entirely. Look at the evidence I mentioned earlier. Does it contradict this story? For example, if I'm in a downward spiral, I would be telling myself that I'm not a good creator, but if I look at the evidence that contradicts that and I look at every good video I've made, then that automatically gets me out of that rut. You can also visualize the ideal self. This is something that I do often. It's the 2.0 version of me, and you ask, what beliefs do they hold? What actions would they take? The thing is with your mind is you can write a script at any time, a new script, and reinforce it every day with relentless execution. You're the author and director of your life, but people seem to forget this and they just accept whatever's given to them. But it's your story and you can write in a plot twist whenever you want. So with that being said, being in the new year, I actually designed a system and a framework for you to reflect on the year that you've had previously, set your intentions for the new year, and accurately reverse engineer your goals from macro into micro steps. I'm giving it away for free. It's the first link in the description. It's literally something I use every year and I often revisit. I can't express to you how much it's helped me, so I hope it will do the same for you. It will be the first link in the description below, so click it, put your email in and send it straight to you. So ultimately what I'm saying in this video is your ability to kill your overthinking and beat your mind comes down to the daily discipline of mastering your mind, installing the practices and way of life that discipline your mind, but also understanding the separation between the voices in your head, the programming, and the actual truest version of you, which is the observer of it all. So with that being said, I hope this helped. Subscribe to this channel and also to my main channel for more content, more in-depth content, and I'll see you in the next one.